So guys, we have just had an extremely busy fight weekend where we've seen numerous boxers compete in the UK and across the US. So in the UK, Vidal Riley achieved a points decision win against Mikael Lawal in a 10-round bout at Cruiserweight. At Welterweight, Kongo was able to secure a unanimous win over Florian Marku in another 10-round showdown. The main fight at the O2 Arena was of course the heavyweight contest between Wardley and Clarke. This ended in a split draw, so no emerging victor there. In the US, we saw the undefeated Tim Tszyu lose to Sebastien Fundora in the main fight, and that was at super welterweight. So the enormously tall Sebastien Fundora there picking up the win. On the undercard, we saw an explosive fight at super lightweight, which is a division that has taken all the fuel, energy and fire from the lightweight division, between Rolando Romero and the winner Isaac Cruz by knockout in the 8th. Also, the Cuban maestro, which is my favorite boxer, ERISLANDY LARA, was able to secure a win against the Australian Mikael ZERAFA in a 12-round WBA middleweight championship fight. It came through a laser pinpoint accurate 2-hit combo, a counter right hook and a southpaw left cross. Now guys, because Lara is such a technician, it was more the efficiency of the technique and the timing of the well-placed punches as opposed to any force that he might have, applied to the punches that amplify the impact, resulting in a marvelous knockout. Now this fight against Mikael ZERAFA, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, ended in a 2nd round knockout and is Lara's 2nd title defense. So this fight involving ZERAFA and reminded me of the fight Lara had against YURI Foreman at super welterweight, which is the weight below. In both fights, Lara was precise, efficient and economical. That is the fight we're going to go to now. I hope you guys enjoy the fight. Remember to leave a comment within the comment section if you want to add anything about ERISLANDY, the Dream Lara, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Peace out.
If not, gentlemen, the time is now. Touch him up, come out of the belt.
Our main event is going to take place under the unified rules of boxing. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. Fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Only the ref can stop the fight, and in the case of an accidental foul, it will go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete. Here we go. It's the main event. YURI Foreman, ERISLANDY LARA, round number 1. In Miami, here we go.
Look for early is, can YURI Foreman make ERISLANDY LARA uncomfortable? Because when he's comfortable, he's at boxing range, man, he's hard to beat. One thing we didn't have room for in the tail of the tape is maybe an asterisk by those 2 losses. Very, very, very controversial. The Paul Williams loss. You just have to say a straight out robbery. All 3 judges were suspended for that fight. Then of course Canelo Alvarez, a lot of people thought ERISLANDY LARA won that fight. So for all practical, he's supposed to be an undefeated.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, when we were talking with Lara in his camp earlier this week, they said they were very confident they won that fight against Canelo. Would love a rematch, but in order to get the rematch, he's got to come out tonight and he's got to put on a show. I mean, no one wants to have that reputation of a fighter that fights safe and manages to just get the victory. You want somebody who's going to come out and put on a show, and Lara is looking to do that tonight.
I don't know what. He can do whatever he wants. He ain't seeing Canelo again. He can forget that. He can
knock his head into the stands. Unlikely that fight would happen.
I mean, the guy is just sometimes, you get a guy with a difficult style. He's just too good for his own good, Jimmy. And a lot of fighters just don't want to take that chance. It's not the fighter. It's his handlers. The guys that are there paid to protect protect their interests.
It's a tough place to be in combat sports, as being a guy who's technically great, but doesn't have the fan demand, have the fan popularity. It's easy to avoid those guys. And fighters, and like you said, promoters and handlers will avoid that guy. It's a tough place to be.
What he's going to have to do is just outweight them, continue to win until there's nobody else left. He's going to have to eliminate all these guys. And unfortunately, he has 2 champions that are in the same camp as him, the Charlo brothers, you know, and with the same trainer running ships.
And the tough part is you might have to go to middleweight, go up and down the scale to find that big fight. Right now, Yuri Foreman staying in the pocket, not looking intimidated, not landing big yet.
We haven't seen much of Yuri Foreman lately, but last time we saw him, we know this guy's tough as nails. He has some ability. We just haven't seen him in a while. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table tonight.
Yeah, only 2 fights in the past 2 years. He is a former WBA super welterweight champion himself, though, so he's been in these big moments before. He's just been focused on things outside of the ring for the past couple of years. So will he be able to continue tonight and really put the pressure on Lara? We'll find out as round number 2 continues in just a moment from Miami. And welcome back to Hialeah Park in Miami. This is our main event, the WBA Super Welterweight Championship. 12 rounds scheduled in this one, and Jimmy, you said many times before that ERISLANDY LARA is one of the pound-for-pound best in the world. He has a great style that he's very difficult to pin down. But as you mentioned, champ, Yuri Foreman right in there so far through 1 round.
Most definitely.
Hey, can we get this off the ring? Gentlemen, don't hold him. Stop. I'll tell you, okay? Let's go.
In the fighters meeting, Yuri came in with the right attitude. He says, no one expects me to win this fight. I have no pressure on me to perform. So that's when you sneak up on a guy and really shock the world by doing something that no one thinks you can do.
Well, we talked about how he's had a significant layoff, and we were chatting with him earlier this week. He said part of it was just general fatigue. He'd been doing this for a long time. He had some issues with his manager, but then also outside of the ring, him and his beautiful wife have been raising 3 boys, and he's been becoming a rabbi. So he spent 6 years dedicating his life to that. He has finally become a rabbi. Now he said, look, if I can come into this fight and take out Lara, that instantly puts me back into every single conversation for being a legitimate contender. So yes, it is a risky fight because Lara is such a high-level fighter. However, it's kind of the right play for Yuri Foreman as well, as opposed to just taking a bunch of smaller fights and seeing where he is. Let's just go for it.
Well, if he wins this fight, he'll be a unified champion. So being in the conversation of contention to be over with.
Yeah.
He'll be a champion, 2-belt champion. And he must know he can't. It's going to be hard-pressed to win a decision. So he's going to have to be aggressive as he came out in the 2nd round and maybe look to land something big on Lara.
In that 1st round, Jimmy, did you score it for Lara?
Had to go with ERISLANDY LARA. He was the dictator in there, landed some effective punches. Didn't throw a lot. We didn't see a ton of, you know, what's going to happen later in the fight, but Yuri Foreman pretty quiet in that 1st round.
And again, we know that Lara can outbox pretty much anybody on the face of the earth right now, but can he get a guy out of there like Yuri Foreman, who we haven't seen in a minute? Can he put the combination together to hurt this guy and stop him inside the distance?
When we saw him last in PBC against Delvin Rodriguez, wipeout isn't strong enough of a word. There wasn't a competitive minute in that fight, and yet we saw the final bell. Delvin Rodriguez was in it till the end when I think he could have taken him out anytime after, let's say, the 5th or 6th round. He was landing some great shots. He's just not that kind of guy to take the risk. He needs to take the risk tonight. Oh, beautiful straight left. And that's something that people underestimate with Lara. He isn't a power puncher, but he lands a lot of power punches. He really active with that left hand 50–60% of the time he'll land.
Round number 3 is coming up next. This is PBC on Spike. Round number 3 is underway. Yuri Foreman in the black trunks. ERISLANDY LARA is wearing the Cuban colors. And so far, 2 rounds to 0 for the champion.
course, that's unofficial, but the thing that we were looking for early is would Yuri Foreman get in there and kind of disrupt Lara, kind of make him uncomfortable, rough him around, get inside. Hasn't happened yet. This has been an outside game, which is exactly where ERISLANDY LARA wants his fight. Part of the reason his connect rate is so high with that left hand is he's very judicious with it. He doesn't throw it a lot. He's content to use the lead hand, but when he throws that left hand, it's like a laser. I think in the Angulo fight, it was almost 60% of the time he landed it, which is, you know, target practice, he landed that much. He doesn't throw it that often.
He has great timing. Yeah. Great timing.
ERISLANDY LARA has a large fan base here tonight. Obviously a strong Cuban population in the Miami area. He's actually fought here at Highland Park before. Came out victorious in that fight. And tonight, crowd really behind him. Now, we just passed the halfway point here of round number 3. And we were talking with Lara earlier. He said that his plan is to put the pressure on, make a statement, and he wants to stop him in 6 rounds.
Finally connecting there, catching Lara coming in.
Yuri Foreman's going to have to double up on that jab. He's not getting close enough. A double jab, triple jab might work for him.
Wow, they're calling that a knockdown.
Wow, didn't look like a knockdown at all.
Looked like a slip to me. It doesn't matter, ref called it a knockdown.
He definitely wasn't hurt with the punch. If a punch landed, I didn't see it.
Remember, Yuri Foreman has had knee trouble in the past. Had his ACL repaired. We saw against Cotto, he slipped, really hurt his knee. Corner actually threw in the towel in that fight. So he has to be careful. So far, he looks good.
They're tied up here as round number 3 comes to a close, but round number 4 is on deck. PBC on Spike. We'll be right back. Here, the referee called this a knockdown, but Jimmy, what are you seeing?
Look at the foot. It gets caught up, and he slips. I do not think that was the result of a punch. He lands a couple punches. Nothing super clean. Nice left hand, but look at it here. Dragging the foot with his foot is what actually called the knockdown. I think that was a slip.
Round number 4 is underway. Potential 12 rounds in this WBA Super Welterweight Champion. It's a big fight tonight for both of these fighters. Yuri Foreman again wants to spoil the party for ERISLANDY LARA. Lara in control right now.
Now, Lara has made statements in the media about, I'm going to knock guys out and become more of a finisher. I called the guy I call when I have a boxing question, Steve Farhood, and I said, Steve, who has started out in their career a technician and gotten to be a knockout puncher later on in their career? It happens the other way around sometimes. These fighters get older, they become more technical, they don't have the power anymore. I said, who started out a technician and became a knockout guy? And he goes, well, Tommy Hearns in the amateurs, not known as a knockout guy, was in the pros. He said Juan Manuel Marquez became more of a knockout puncher later in his career. Those are the only 2 examples.
So there's 2 people on the list,
huh? And if Farhood can't think of it, right. I don't know if they exist, but you know, 2 on his list, it's pretty rare that a guy who starts out as a technician becomes a knockout puncher later on. These are the kind of questions I call Steve Farhood with. About dinner time, he always answers me. Always, doesn't matter.
He answered the call and he said, let me call you back because I want to think on it for a moment.
He did.
Thought about it for a while, called you back about an hour and a half later, and then sure enough, he only had 2 people on the list.
There you go.
A lot of times when fighters are coming up, they're young, they're youthful, but when the age kick in, they start sitting down on their punches a little bit, delivering more with solid power shots. With Marquez, it was that way. Yeah. He didn't have the energy